on, everybody? This is Bobby Bookworm back with another book review. I think there's going to be more sporadic because of the books that I'm currently reading at this time. But last one I did was Return of the God Hypothesis. If you haven't read that or listened to that, please go check it out. It's on here on a series. Or you can go check it up on YouTube. This particular book is by Rabbi Jason Sobel, and it is called The Mysteries of the Messiah, Unveiling Divine Connections from Genesis to Today. This is actually very recent. This is a book that's pretty much hot off the press. It's got a foreword by Kathie Lee Gifford, which, for those of you who may or may not like her, I mean, there's a lot of complicated history, but she's, as far as I know, she's straightened her life out, and for those who don't know, her maiden name, she has a Jewish maiden name, because she's a Messianic like myself. So, pretty interesting book. It stretched me a lot to gotta give my review of what I thought of it. I've heard of Rabbi Jason Sobel before. Him and Kathie Lee Gifford co-authored a book called The Rock, the Road, and the Rabbi, and it kind of gives Jewish and Israeli context to scriptures and kind of what some of the things are. And he kind of continues in this. And he kind of shows how the Messianic prophecies in the Old Testament, how they put together, but not just that, because there are other pastors who have done that, but he does it differently in that he takes it from a Jewish rabbinical context and a cultural context and kind of gives a different flip to it. He gets a little bit into numerology, which I'm a little leery of, but at the same time, I also have to acknowledge the reality that the Hebrew language, for those who do not know, is alphanumeric. So letters can also mean numbers. And it's there's little gems in there that stretched me a little bit. It got me to think outside the box with regards to this particular book, in regards to how I see Scripture and how I see the connections between the Old Testament and the New, and some of the rabbinic traditions, and how the commentaries or the rabbinic commentaries can give some insight onto scriptural texts. I try not to get into old wives' tales and things like that, and I try not to get too much into speculative stuff, but it does give an interesting flavor to things. Some of the chapters, just to kind of go through them, are the job description of the Messiah of creation. You kind of go back to Adam and Eve. The Messiah promised to the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Messiah, son of Joseph and Judah. The Messiah revealed in Moses, his good birth. The Messiah greater than Moses, his divine calling. The Messiah's and Moses' miracles. The Messiah, our Passover. The Messiah at Pentecost, because he rose on the first the feast of first fruits. The Messiah in the desert. The Messiah in the love story of Ruth and Boaz, which I thought was a little bit of a reach, but still interesting. The Messiah, son of David, because we know that he's from the lineage of David. And there's always more. The acknowledges, the appendix, which kind of gives the Hebrew alphanumeric chart, the glossary of Hebrew texts, Hebrew and the Gregorian calendar, because the Hebrew calendar and the Gregorian calendar, which we are under today, which is 12 months from January to December, and the Hebrew calendar, which we have the civic calendar, and the sacred calendar, which are two parallel calendars, are a little bit different. So he kind of gave some insight into that, into how certain events fit together. Overall, I think this was a good book, and I think for those who want to be stretched, and for those who want to, again, go outside the box and learn something different from a Jewish context or a Jewish Christian context, I think this would be a good book. I really don't know what else much to say about it. It's not very big. It's not very thick. So it's a fairly quick read. There are certain terms that he explains in transliteral Hebrew, and then he has the actual Hebrew calligraphy, but he kind of does an English translation to make sense of it. And so that kind of helps out for those who are reading this. I do want to say, though, although it is a very loaded book, it is worth reading, and it is worth checking out. Again, especially in these times, I think, especially with the rise of anti-Semitism as a sidebar, given the rise of anti-Semitism, and given that the Old Testament comes from the Jews, or comes from the Hebrews specifically, I think that to look at things from a Jewish cultural context is something, especially because Yeshua, Jesus himself, was a Jew, a Mizrahi Jew, but a Jew nonetheless. I do think that it is worth looking into, and I do think that it is something that is worth considering, especially if you want to stretch your mind and grow in the Lord and grow in your faith and grow in your beliefs. Especially if you're really open to challenge. If you're not open to challenge, I would say this book is not for you. If you are not open to different breakdowns, I would say this is not for you. All I'm saying is give it a chance. And like I said before, and like I say in most, if not all of my book reviews, I want people to think critically. I want people to think independently. I want people to think outside the box a little bit and try to stretch themselves and understand that we as human beings who are made in God's image and likeness, while we, like God, can know some things, the difference between God and us is that God knows all, we only know some. God hears all, sees all, knows all. We hear, see, and know some things. So I encourage you to stretch your mind, grow it a little bit, and see where this goes. Compared to my Saturday spiels, this is pretty short, but, like I said, Mysteries of the Messiah, Rabbi Justin Sobel, it's out now. Check it out and see what you think. This is Bobby G, aka Bobby Bookworm. Hopefully I'll be back for another book review before too long. Catch y'all later. Peace.